Music videos are unpredictable. The challenges it presents can either come with a big reward or a huge cost. And here to discuss those challenges with us today is Andrew Maclennan. An advocate for doing whatever it takes to get the job done, Andrew enters every production with the reward in mind. And in this episode, he gets into the mindset and the hustle it takes to thrive in the music video industry. So if you are motivated by hard work and dedication, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Applebox Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Lau, and I'm sitting next to my co-host, Anthony Valtsinas, and across of us, the man of the hour, Andrew Maclennan. Let's get it. All right, we have with us Andrew Maclennan. Welcome to the Applebox Podcast, bro. We've known each other for a while. I remember when you first came to me, it was like, on Facebook? And you messaged me. It was Instagram? My bad, Instagram. Sit down at a coffee shop. You were just a kid that worked in a grocery store at that time.
McDonald's.
And McDonald's. Selling grind, stock footage.
Yeah.
And now you're doing music videos with like Alessia Cara and some big names out there. And you just did a production. I know you can't talk about it, but you did a huge production. And now you're in your own time, your own thing, full time, hiring staff, and making a name for yourself, man. So let's talk a little bit about you, man. Who's Andrew?
Who's Andrew? That's a tough question. Andrew is a director of photography, a director specializing more in like music videos and creative content, and also just an all-around badass, I would say.
I like that.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's good. I like that. I like that confidence, man.
Yeah.
I like that confidence. So let's talk a little bit about your upbringing, how you got to where you were. Let's get a little bit into your past. So how did you go from a McDonald's employee, a grocery store cashier, to doing what you did?
So I guess I would say early on, I kind of realized what I wanted to do. When I was in high school, I got a little iPod Nano, and it had like a 1 megapixel camera. It was like so bad, 720p at best probably. And I would film my friends like going off their jumps on their bikes. And some of my favorite projects growing up too were the ones where you had to shoot a little video for your class. And those were some of the more like fun ones for me. And I realized that was kind of where I excelled, was just entertainment a little bit. Yeah. So then leading from there in high school, I started working. And, one of the most important things I find in this industry is, being mobile, having a car. So I bought a car early on, and then I bought a drone. And then I traveled a lot doing like hiking the Rockies and doing stuff like that. I brought my drone and I would shoot all these aerial shots. And eventually that led into people saying, hey, can you do music videos, for like just shoot the aerial shots that I need?
Yeah.
And I was like, sure. Led into that. I realized, hey, I could get a gimbal system and I could do all this camera work as well. Bought into that as well while going to television broadcasting at Algonquin College.
Yeah.
I knew that television broadcasting specifically wasn't what I wanted. I just didn't find that, it was creative enough for me, at least with, the style of shooting that we were doing. So I kind of just realized that, this music video thing is pretty cool, and this is what I enjoy doing. And I did a lot of weddings, and I did a lot of other like smaller corporate gigs, interviews, stuff like that early on. But I know that the music videos is where my passion was.
Yeah.
And I had a good time just kind of creating these little storylines and also just shooting different lighting scenarios and different scenes as well, which is not something you often get with, the corporate gigs. It's a lot of like sit down, walk through
music videos are more experimental with their styles. And because corporate, it's like you have to do a clean, cut, beautiful lighting, usually type of modes where music videos, you can throw RGB lights everywhere, throw smoke grenades or whatever the hell you want.
Oh, yeah.
As long as it works. And you can also go clean, and you can also go narrative. You can go so many different ways.
Yeah.
But I know that the music video industry, like especially early on when I was growing up as a kid, was a very prevalent like industry to be in, because most of the time music videos were playing on the biggest platforms at that time was like Much Music and things on TV. So the budgets were like 6 figures, sometimes probably even 7 figures. Nowadays, it's different. Nowadays, everything gets platformed online for free. Essentially for everybody to view. So how have you like navigated around like going into this industry knowing that like music videos ultimately usually the budgets are almost went from like pretty good budgets way back in the day to now like tanking almost to like some people do for free. I mean, Anthony did it for like $50, I think, growing up. Like, how
you know what? We've all been there.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We've all been there. You have to start somewhere, and you kind of have to put aside, the idea of I work for this amount of money and that kind of thing when you're starting out. When you're first investing into something, it has to be passion driven. And because I was kind of passionate about it, I realized that, hey, look, you start out somewhere small, $500 a video. As a kid, you can kind of profit off that. You can make a little.
It's a lot of
bit.
money for a kid.
It is,
Right.
It's either that or you work for whatever. At the time, minimum wage was $9.25 an hour. So, if I worked for like 40 hours, my paycheck would probably be $500, So at the time, it didn't really make a big difference for me. And, it was something that was super fun. And, one thing as well is, especially with the rise of social media, what I found is there's a lot more opportunities out there. So sure, you may not have, $100,000 plus budgets to get, the Cook lenses that you want and the cameras and the whole crew and everything. But there's more opportunities. I find at least there's a lot more artists that are looking to kind of expand their creative palette and do music videos. And they could be first-time music video people, or they could be, experienced people who have done music videos and they know, hey, look, I know that for $500, I'm not going to get the quality that I want.
Right.
Right. So I would say that kind of counters the thought of every music video needs to be $100,000 plus, which is obviously the ideal situation. But now it gives people who are in that mid-tier, low-tier opportunities that a lot of people wouldn't have had years ago. Gimbals, stabilizers alone, you can mimic a whole whack of shots now that you would need. Even drones. Drones, we never had drones. You'd have to go in a helicopter for $20,000 a day, plus your camera crew and everything.
Yeah.
Now that's a $30,000-$40,000 shot right there.
Right. But like for someone like you who has surpassed the new stage, the new videographer doing music videos, I mean, in a lot of ways, that's got to be a challenge for you, knowing that a videographer just come by and just be like, hey, I'll do the same music video for $500.
What I would say to that is, it's about customer experience as well. You kind of have to think about it in a sense where, put yourself in their shoes. They may not know a lot about film. They may not know a lot about music videos and stuff like that. So if you're able to kind of make it easy for them, they come back to you. There's all kinds of people that will shoot music videos for big name artists just for the clout of it or just for the fun or whatever. But if you have a standard for all of the productions that you produce or that you have a hand in, then at least they know that bare minimum, this is what your production is going to look like if you hire this guy, right? Where you're taking a shot in the dark if you hire someone else. The thing is like if you build those relationships with people, especially in music videos, that's what you have to do because people have crazy ideas and you have to be able to sit there and talk to them and on a real world kind of level and say, hey, this might not be doable with your budget, but why don't we try something like this? And you're able to kind of push people in a way that makes it easier for you using the gear that you have and the level that you're at to make a good quality production that both yourself and your client are happy with.
Yeah, I think you touch on an important thing, and that's client experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the same thing as a cinematographer in the commercial world for me, and it goes with narrative world especially, right? Like narrative world, I guess, is more so towards directors. Commercial world is more so towards clients and directors. But like the whole experience of working with you, right? Like you have to show that you're not just good at what you do. Because look, everybody's good. Like like I could list off a million DPs that are freaking amazing, right? It's about how much do they trust you, how much do they, enjoy working with you, and how really ultimately how good you are, like as a person. Like, are you actually pleasant to be around, right? So I think that is very, very, very important. On top of that, work ethic, which is something that I know everyone sitting at this table is a freaking king of work ethic. The hard work and stories you've told me, how you travel across Canada. What was that trip that you went from Toronto to Ottawa to Nova Scotia, Vancouver,
New Brunswick, then to Vancouver, then to New Brunswick again, Montreal, Toronto. Yeah,
crazy.
That was this summer.
Jesus Christ, right?
You have to live a lifestyle that kind of can accommodate that, And it's a fun lifestyle for sure. But as you know, all that traveling, lugging your gear around everywhere, it can be a lot.
Yeah, there's wear and tear on your gear and yourself and like everything. But
Yeah,
if you love it, you'll do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'd rather this than,
McDonald's.
exactly.
No offense to McDonald's employees, of course, but that's where you were there. So
yeah.
But I do feel like you need to go through that at one point. Like everyone has to do it. You have to almost go through a growing pain. Yeah, 100%. Because if you don't, it doesn't make you like. I almost feel like you haven't experienced the industry until you've been like almost broken by that kind of process, right?
over and over and over again.
Just the way your eyes light up, just really speak the truth. Many times,
Been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the same with anything, right? Like you got to pick your pain almost, or pick the struggle that you want to deal with in life, and everything's a struggle at a certain level. Like any job has its ups and downs, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you just want to stay sane and you want to be happy, with the career choice that you have. And, even if you don't make a lot of money, if you're happy in the industry that you're working in, there's always ways to make more money.
Yeah.
And
speaking of money, like I know, I want to kind of touch a little bit on this because in the music video industry, it's probably the most often this would probably happen. I know it's very often in the corporate world as well, where I want to go back to undercutting, right? And get into the mindset of undercutting. Most people who start videography business are not going to jump into a $20,000 commercial or $50,000 commercial, right? Let alone a $10,000 commercial, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times they're not going to jump into a feature film with a lot of budget, like even a standard budget of like $300K, right? Like you're not going to get into that immediately. You're probably going to start off, especially if you're a director or whatever, on a free music video, right? So my thing is like, especially in the music video industry, I feel like there's a lot of people, and there's been stories made on this, right, where they're going to come in and be like, I'll do the same music video for $500, and the argument always stands of like understanding your value and what you're worth. And I feel like a lot of people who continue to do that have the same argument of like, well, we all got to start somewhere. Well, we all got to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have what you have. Like, I don't own a Red, or I don't own a fucking C500. I don't own aperture lights and Titan tubes and shit like that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to get your thoughts on it, because I know you probably face it a lot with your clients, but like, the one thing I always want to share with that is setting the standard for your career, understanding that if you continue to keep doing that, you will continue to set the standard like that for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Meaning that even if you are able to do something for $500, well, guess what? When you turn 10 years down the line and you want to start making $1,000, do you know how to turn a $100 client into a $1,000 client? Maybe, but can you now turn a $1,000 client into a $10,000 client? Good luck.
Yeah.
Because you've been your only strategy your whole career was, I can undercut, and you'll never grow, right? You'll always be stuck at like $100 client. And I don't know if you've ever faced any experiences like that, like directly. Maybe the client will probably never tell you, but like, we've all done it. I'm not going to say we haven't done it. You have to do things at the beginning for nothing, right? But do you ever face that challenge in the music and the video industry?
Yes and no. Yes, it's something that you face early on a lot of, because, your content level is good, but it's not a movie, maybe,
right,
or something like that. Like people, when I post, a lot of the time I like to post behind the scenes videos and photos and that kind of stuff, so that people can actually gauge and understand like the level of effort, and knowledge, and just like all the people that are a part of these projects, and at that point, people start to realize like, I'm not going to be your makeup artist. So we're going to need to pay $500 plus probably for a makeup artist to be on set all day. And if you don't want to pay that, that's on you. But here's the reasons why I need a makeup artist, or I would suggest it.
Yeah.
And these are the things that like you just explain to your clients. And eventually, if they don't want to be your client, then they're not going to contact you, because they think you have so many rules, or you have so many things that you need. Like, let's just pick up a camera and shoot.
Yeah.
But you flush all those people away, and you keep one or two brand new clients every year that you continue to cycle and you continue to have projects with, and those are the ones that respect your information and respect you. A lot of people don't want to spend money on renting a lens kit, but if we're looking to achieve a certain look, this is what would benefit the production, right? And once you kind of get up to, a Red, Airy kind of level, you can't be that one-man band as much anymore. You know, with the DSLR camera, you've got the in-body stabilization, which can save you. You can basically be a gimbal yourself, right? But there's so many other things to pay attention to, like your composition and your focus and the actual direction going on in front of you. And a lot of the time, it's not worth it to say, I'm a jack of all trades, I can do all of it. So let's designate these tasks to someone that I know would be good at that task.
Yeah, there's a reason why some crews are big.
Exactly, and there's that is the instant reason why people would say, you know, I'm not interested in working with you because I already know that the bill is going to be thousands and thousands of dollars because we need this crew of 10 people, 15, 30, 40, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, it's an education too, right? Like you said, like most people see the product and they see what people have done and they're like, oh, this is easy. Yeah. Because it's so maybe saturated and the market's kind of different with music videos nowadays, but at the end of the day, it always comes down to people. I mean, I had this mentality too. I think I could do everything. Yeah. But you eventually realize you just actually can't, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way it was built. And there's productions for a reason. There's production teams for a reason. Like I remember I was on a music video when I was really young, like maybe 17. Yeah. $50. I don't even know what I got paid.
The good old days.
Oh, yeah. And it was like 11 p.m. I was walking with the guys, and this like guy came up to me. He's like, "Yo, how much for a music video?" I'm like, $100. Yeah. Double my rate.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, he's like, come on, do it for the gang. I'm like, who's the gang? Like, then I saw his group over there. I'm like, this isn't right. This is like, what am I doing? Like, well,
you're not part of this gang.
I'm like, come on. Like, so it's like, I was very naive. I was like, also like a very I would say unconfident person. So I didn't know. Like, I was just like, literally just someone wants me to shoot their stuff. Okay, cool. But I didn't do that job, obviously. But it was a unique experience, and I think different people experience different things in the music video side of things. But
these are all lessons that you kind of learn, and you start to realize that even having a crew to look after that kind of stuff is important because things can even get taken on set. Yes, and if you're a one-man band, you can't really. That's the thing. It's about delegating.
You get to that point eventually, and I think it's important that you learn that early on. Yeah, like that's why I think it's important that you take on roles like that PA roles, for example. Yeah, not because not because I'm too good to be a PA. Like I still to this day, go to people's work that I admire and say, hey man, you want me to PA for? I'll PA for you. Yeah, like I don't care. You know what I mean?
That's how we worked on our first short film together.
Yeah, exactly.
You were my lighting guy.
Exactly. I was just like, whatever you need me to do, man. What do you want me to do?
It brought us closer.
Exactly.
That experience. We'll leave it at that.
Oh, yes, we did.
I remember this.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And that was unfortunately, we can't get into it, but my God, yes. Yeah. But like as a new videographer or whatever you want to call yourself, these days, like. You got to experience that because you got to understand the value of every crew member and you have to observe all that because when you get to the point where I would say even where we're at, right? Like where you're starting to deal with clients who are putting in a lot of money, the last thing you want to do is make a mistake.
That's right.
And especially in the commercial world, I'm sure it's the same in the music video world, right? Where you do a shoot, something goes terribly wrong because you decided you wanted to save a certain amount of money. And then it goes terribly wrong. Well, guess what? That's not only just that shoot that's at stake. That's your client at stake. That's your reputation at stake. And we are a reputation-based business.
Absolutely.
Right? One fuck up could ruin it all.
You'll have to move. Yeah.
Yeah, you're done. You could be done.
Your name.
Yeah. New country.
Citizenship.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it just takes that one thing where like, maybe we needed 3 grips, but I hired 1.
Or an additional camera.
Or an AC, right? Yeah. But then guess what? Because you didn't hire an AC, you're tripping all over the place, and now you're trying to also deal with your camera. Your camera breaks and drops. That's $20,000 down the drain, right? And whatever else amount of monetary value you might have on it, right? Because you didn't want to spend $300 on a grip.
That's right.
And sometimes that's why it's important. Like you said, understanding that there's going to get to a point. Yeah. Where you have to pay for a team and I think educating your client, like you said, right? Like understand going to a client being like, this is not just somebody that like, I want to get my friend a job, like you have to understand that this is actually for the safety of the entire process, of the entire product.
Usually the approach that I've experienced is like, they're like, oh, it's very simple. Like it's just like one location. Like you don't need, like, it's like, trust me, like if you want dog shit, sure, like,
Yeah, sure.
all right, like cell phone it is.
Yeah.
But if you want like something that looks good, that's gonna like actually elevate your career, if you care about your career, it is what it is at a certain level.
Yeah.
Like you can cut corners, but eventually it's gonna, that's gonna compound over time. The amount of cut corners you cut, and then next thing you know, you have a fucking circle.
And at the end of the day, you kind of also want to think to yourself, there are so many gigs that are micro budgets and all that kind of stuff that are out there. But what do you want for your demo reel? As a DP specifically,
right.
What is it that you want to continuously shoot, and what is it that you want to advertise to people so that you continue to get more? I know my demo reel, at least at this moment, specifically tailors the music video market.
Yes.
And I have all kinds of different colors and scenes and different styles of shooting, all mashed up in there to make it look like this is all that I want to shoot.
It's what you want to be known for.
That's exactly it.
Yes, you're building an identity of who you want to be.
Right. So it's if you take on a lot of those small gigs and stuff, then you're kind of just setting it out to be $500 gigs for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, then great.
I've always said this. I've always said that if you're going to do a gig, right, it's either for your demo reel or for the money.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be your demo reel and you're not getting paid enough, it's a fucking shit gig.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's one or the other. It has to be for one or the other.
Exactly.
Like, I understand, like, sometimes you can't just do things for demo reel because a lot of times those gigs don't pay that well.
No.
Right? But you also can't just do everything for the money because then you'll never have anything for your demo reel.
It's a healthy balance.
Right? It's a healthy balance. Exactly.
That was the problem I fell into early on. Is I was actually just so naive looking back. Of like I was just like doing it all.
Yeah.
Then I fell into an employment opportunity, and it was like lost track of every single reason why I got into the industry.
Yeah.
And now I'm like recovering from that
It's
experience.
just picking up the pieces now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like trying to figure it out, frankly, because it's like who am I as a creator, as an artist? Like,
What is it that I like to shoot?
what do I want to do? Yeah, it's like I literally lost like myself amongst the inability to say no to things and like find myself.
And you know what's
It's very
fucked up? Like
strange.
Anthony, for those who don't know, who are watching, like has done more gigs than probably any videographer in Toronto. Right, he's worked every day, and when it comes time to be like, "Hey, Ant, like, what are you gonna post?" He has nothing. And that's you got to think about that. How fucked up that is.
It's not that I have nothing. It's that like
you're not proud of anything.
There's nothing that you want to
But
post.
that's the
it's
thing.
like a weird mix,
Right, right.
But then there's some jobs like, should I be proud of this? Like, why am I not proud of this? Like,
But see, that yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a very important topic to learn as an artist.
Yeah.
Is that it's not the result, it's the process.
Yeah.
The reason why he doesn't want to post the result is not because it isn't good. It's because he didn't enjoy the process. So you're not proud of it because you don't know. You have nothing but attached bad, negative feelings attached to that result. So like you don't want to post it because a lot of stuff he does is great. Like there's some stuff that I look at, I'm like, that's pretty fucking good for a $200 one man band like video. But you're not proud of it because you didn't enjoy the process.
well, yeah, I mean, I recently archived everything on my account. I kind of like went ghost.
Yeah.
And I go through these. People know who follow me. I go through these waves of like I'm posting on social media, at least on my stories. People know what I'm doing. But then I've realized that it's like a toxic behavior of like I'm validating the work that I'm doing when I'm not fully I'm burnt out. I'm not fully enjoying it, I guess, which is like a privileged thing to say. And I go back and forth with that. But it's like I need to take a step back. I need to reevaluate. I need to find myself in some capacity. What do I want? And then come back to social media when I have like a direction for myself that isn't always affected by everyone else's opinion and like what people want for me and what people think I do. And it's like I'm considering all these different things. I'm not considering myself, which is something I'm trying to develop.
The focus aspect is what we talk about a lot, right? Like for him to be, if he can focus on one thing, he would kill it. And as it goes back to your point of like, I want to be known for music videos. So my demo reel is going to have music video stuff.
And your mentality kind of
because you're focused on it. But if you threw a bunch of corporate stuff with a bunch of random narrative stuff with a bunch of like
you have no direction.
Random YouTube stuff and vlog stuff, it would be like, so Andrew, I don't know who I'm hiring here.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it is super important that when you're intentional with your work.
Absolutely.
And it aligns with what you're passionate about.
Aligns with what you're passionate about.
And
which is exactly
it matters about what you showcase too, right?
Yeah.
Like there's definitely a lot of commercial shoots that I'm a part of and that I shoot. And honestly, thankfully, a lot of them are more on the creative side anyways, you know? But what I showcase is the music videos because that's what I'm passionate about. And the thing is it's like, it just continues to grow, slowly charging more and more as the years go on and as the productions get bigger and you start to realize, hey, I need minimum a camera assistant on every shoot just to deal with transferring footage and also building systems. It would be great to have DIT on this one because we have a multi-camera system going, right? You start to kind of incorporate all these costs, and it's like the number one thing is just coming back to educating your clients. If you have a client that has a $200 budget for a video, it's like, okay, well, the red is $500 a day.
Yeah.
So what should we do?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
It really is as simple as that.
And then they say, okay, can we use a smaller camera? Okay, A7S III is whatever, $120 a day. Now that leaves $80 for labor.
And this is a 12-hour gig, so do that per hour. Let's figure this out.
But do it for the gang.
Do it for the gang. Yeah, exactly.
The gang discount.
Yeah.
But, I think it's important that what you just said, like that process right there, just describing and educating the client is probably one of the scariest things for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So like for you, what do you think is the key for people to kind of gain, I guess, a little bit more balls to do something like that?
It just comes with experience. That's what I find. You work in your own realm. You do your own videos. When I do my music videos, most of them are, I would say, within 15 to 30K range, right? So I'm familiar with that. I know that I need transmitters so that I can show the
total budget, like total production budget.
Yeah, I know that I need all of these like pieces to really get into the film and be able to showcase, how people want a monitor on set or multiple monitors on set just to check the hairstyling that's going on and to check direction and everything, right? So it's like, that if your client can afford it, I'm going to make this the best experience that I possibly can for you. But when you shoot on like your own camera equipment that you are slowly building and all of that, and you don't reach out to other productions to try and help out and just gain some knowledge on how they operate, then you're stuck in this realm. If you don't buy a car mount, you'll never do a car mounted shot. Right. So that's kind of something that I would say is, important, because if you understand how a car mounted shot works, you can get a rough idea as to what it would cost. You
get the experience with it.
Get experience with it, figure out what works and what doesn't.
How much time it takes.
Exactly. And then you can pitch the ideas to your clients. If they like it, then great. Some people have money to spend on projects and all they want is for their project to be really cool, really interesting, or really informative.
Right.
And if you can't nail one of these with your video, you probably won't get hired again.
Yeah. Right. And I think budget and like allocating budget, understanding budget is a big part of the game that a lot of people overlook.
And it's one in music videos as well that is very hard to sell.
Yeah.
We have one that we recently did, Squid Games by JC. This is a music video, that we had 29 staff hired on. I produced it, directed it, and shot it all myself, and then partnered with my buddy Dario to get the edit done. I storyboarded the entire thing. I also did, theme boards, and we rented out a studio space for about a week. We built custom walls, and then, for the artist, because this is our fifth video, or fifth, yeah. And we had previously done all kinds of crazy creative videos that will be memories embedded in my mind for the rest of my life. And these videos can all be kind of summed up with depictions. And we decided, the walls look barren. How can we fill these walls with something creative and cool, but also relevant to JC as an artist? And one of the cool ideas that we came up with was, hey, why don't we spray paint a symbol or a photo, basically, of or a representation of for each music video that we've done. So if you look at that video, you'll see there's a Dalmatian on the wall that represents Cruella, the music video we did, with Dalmatians. We had puppy Dalmatians come out for that one. We had another one called Loyalty, and even it was actually a really good bonding experience. But my dad and I built that cage. It's an 8 foot by 8 foot, fully built cage that you can't get out of. Like, it's metal beams and everything, a swinging door, everything, custom made lock in the shape of his logo that uses his necklace to as the key so that he can get out. These are all cool things, and these are like knickknacks that now they can keep, and as a keepsake, might have cost them X amount of dollars to build this whole custom piece, but these are all things that are like mementos. And like we spray painted a lot of emblems on this, this music video that represent these music videos because we want people who have followed the entire growth and the entire story from when JC was younger, all the way to now. We want people to see that. And anyone who is new, they'd have no idea what these images are on the wall.
That's the thing. They're not paying for your skill set, although they are. It's part of the process, but they're paying for your mind, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially in music videos, like you need to get creative. And even if your budget is somewhat small, there's still ways to get creative with transitions and storyline pieces and just things that you can really use to tie everything in together, make yourself happy, make your client happy, and work within budget.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think handling budget, like I was saying, like is one of the most difficult things to do. People make mistakes with it all the time. You have to deal with them to understand what it takes. And like, wrangling budgets is understanding the balance between being efficient and being saving money for the, if you go under budget, it's always great. Like people love you for that. But also being able to give the result with whatever budget you do spend.
Exactly.
Right? Because if someone gives you $50,000 for a music video, you better make it look like $5 million or $1 million or $500,000, whatever you are capable of. Yeah. Right? But you don't want it to make it look like $50,000 music video or less, right? You wanted to make it look expensive. That's the whole idea. That's the whole ROI of the industry. And sometimes you can get lost in like trying to save too much or overspending, which is even the worst thing in the world, right? Like it's a really difficult task to do. So, you saying that you had 29 staff in the Squid Games video with JC, that must have been like crazy to like figure out, like, because you're not only worrying about creative, but you have to figure out where the money goes. Absolutely. So how did you navigate that? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so the number one thing for me was building out the story. Like I knew approximately what we were looking to spend on the project, and then I also knew, because this was a Squid Game style music video, I knew the direction we needed to go. Yeah. Right. And so part of the music video was we had the Delgado cookie cutting scene, which was I believe episode 2 or 3 from Squid Games. But what we did was we customized the whole thing, and so we put the logo of the artist on it. We completely built all of the wardrobes from scratch, which we knew would be costly. So I hired someone from my arts department to basically manage the entire thing. And, he's a creative himself. Mm-hmm. And so, with that, we have meetings. This was it took me about 2 months to produce the project. I did nothing else other than produce this entire project, and we would meet all the time. And my arts guy is my number one guy for this music video because he came in so clutch. We had so many pieces. We built custom masks from absolute scratch because he loves doing that. He does Comic-Con stuff, so he loves that kind of stuff. We had like glow-in-the-dark lines on them. We had the logo of the client, imprinted on them. I had them outfitted with guns. We also had an actual sniper on set because I couldn't find a fake sniper that looked real enough. So we had to get a gun wrangler, to come out on set and kind of manage that whole process as well, which was cool. And we didn't have, a laser sight for it. So then we used a laser from the studio and just attached it kind of to the bottom, just kind of like shitty rigged it, but it gave us the same effect. So the thing is, you work as best as you can within budget. But at the end of the day, the creative is the most important part. So I knew that for us, our locations didn't matter that much because it's all designed to take place in one location. Okay. So I built out this location, rented it for a good chunk of a week. We had a spray paint artist come in 2 days before, spend about 10 hours spray painting the entire thing. Right. I know that this was shot in Ottawa, so I need to come back multiple times throughout the year. Yeah. So, you can just kind of spitball after you've had all the experience, of shooting music videos and what it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. Even for this one, like this spray paint artist, for me, it was like, okay, maybe that could be a couple $100. I have no idea. But then it turns out that, spray paint artists, obviously deserve more than that. Yeah. Right. And so when I was getting quotes, I was like, wow, okay, this is interesting. This is something to bring to my client's attention. And we did. And we just found what fit the best, like who had the best kind of vibe that fit what we were looking for, that also fit within a reasonable budget. and these are things that we're looking for. We want people who also just want to be there, right? At the end of the day,
right.
If it costs a little bit more, it's fine, because as long as you want to be there and you want this project to happen, then that's great. We had him sketch up images, and I told him, hey, these are the music videos. These are the key moments and the key things. Like one of them we shot on Miami Beach. We had a custom crown and cape and staff made for the artist because the song was called Alpha, and he was a king basically in it. We found a homeless dude, and we were like, dude, can I give you $50 to rent your snake for an hour? And he was like, hell yeah, and he came over and we rented a snake for an hour, and that was like one of the most iconic things from that music video.
Yeah, that's
so I'm like, dude, spray paint that with the crown as well, and it's just, these are all the cool parts about it. And then even the outfits too, my guy brings me a selection of like 4 or 5 choices, and I'm like, no, that can't work. Let's go with color schemes here. I like this one. This works. And working with my lighting tech as well. I'm running the sequence. I'm like, hey, JC will be here.
Yeah.
All the contestants will be over here. They're going to station themselves in all these different locations. So I need lighting to hit them there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just working with your people and knowing that this is not a production where you're going to show up day of and make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like these are the pre-production is the most key feature in any video production.
100%.
Like, as a shooter myself,
yes,
it pains me to say it, but it's the honest truth. If you have incredibly good pre-production, like that music video went insanely smooth. Like we finished like 30 minutes under schedule, which is, pretty crazy. I had so many people there, so many outfits, in the morning, whenever all the actors and actresses showed up, I had it all laid out. And then it was like, okay, you're going here, you're picking up this outfit, you're getting dressed. I need you first. So we're going to get you dressed and get makeup done for you first. And then we're coming over here. And whenever someone was busy, I'm able to knock off the rest of my shots. But that's because I did all the pre-production on it. Yeah. And I know, according to my storyboard and according to my shot list, these are all the things I need to do. And these are all the shots I need to get. Yeah. And I know that because I made the whole thing, I don't even really need to reference it that much. Because I'm like, no, this is the sequence. We're running it.
You're also the director. Angles. Yeah, exactly. You're also your vision.
So that's the beauty about it. Eventually, you get into delegating more and more and more.
Right.
And I'll start delegating camera rolls, unfortunately.
As much as you love to hold them. Yeah.
Exactly. So that I can focus more on the direction when I need to. But it just depends on the role that you're taking. If you're doing a music video where you're really trying to maximize your budget, you may not have that kind of leeway or room to hire out a cam op and then an additional first AC.
Right.
Like, what I have working for myself is, the guys that I work with, I pay them well because I know that they do the job of 2 or 3 guys.
Yes.
And that's it at the end of the day. When we work on a bigger set and you have a bigger budget, then it's great, and you can guarantee everything's going to be smooth, and everyone can have a slightly lower rate because it's easier work.
Yeah, because pre-production is all about one thing: minimizing risk.
Exactly.
That's all it is. You're doing it for the client, essentially. The client is spending this much money. They're spending this much money on you because they know that you help them minimize risk. Risk meaning chances of failure, things going wrong, all that kind of stuff. That's what it's all about. I mean, as artists, we see it obviously differently in a sense of like, how can we get what we want? We need to plan for what we want and all that kind of stuff. But it's actually all about minimizing risk because money's involved, right? Yeah. So it's all about saving that budget. Yeah. And I think can be, that includes not just money, but who you hire. Just touch on to now what you're talking about, like who you hire, who do you trust? Yeah. Because sometimes, someone can cost, you say making up a day rate of like say $500 for a lighting tech, right? You pay $500 to someone on a lighting tech. They could be the world's greatest lighting tech and done the world's greatest reel. But if you don't get along with you, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Right? So then sometimes you might have to go with the person who costs $650. It's a little bit more, but that person, at least you get along with them. Perhaps the reel's not as great, but they will get the job done. Absolutely. So I think sometimes that's what I mean by like wrangling the money and budget and stuff is more than just about, I got $10,000. Let me write a list of how much everybody costs and that's it, Yeah. Like it's so much more than that. It's about finding the team that's cohesive so that you can have a smooth production like you talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's, I think one of the things that your strengths, from my opinion, that is your ability to have all those like skill sets and actually handle them like in a really good way. I think I've been on set with you as your gaffer or key grip a few times, and you're excellent at communication and direction because you understand what everyone goes through. So what is like usually your like vetting process when finding a team? And what is Andrew like? Like what who's Andrew's type of crew?
I mean, like when I first started in film, I know I never really had like a mentor. So I always just kind of got on people's sets and watched, even if I was the BTS guy, like just taking BTS video, BTS photo, I was always watching, and I was always like doing my absolute best, the best that I could. But I was always just trying to understand like, what is it that this guy does, for lighting? Like, what is he focusing on? And one of the things that I liked the most was just when people worked hard, because at the end of the day, because we're young, I'm in my 20s. I know that I'm still growing with a lot of people. I can hire a 40-year-old veteran right now, but they may not like they might be used to like just tungsten lighting. They might not be on the whole LED vibe, right? And I know that with my style of shooting, I might be more on the LED vibe, right? And it's like I need someone who can learn quickly how to use Astera tubes. I can show them in one day. Hopefully they'll pick it up. Maybe they'll watch a YouTube video quickly before I get there, in order to do it, like to be able to work the gear. So it's like for me, when I'm hiring people, if you're good and if you're amazing at what you do, that's great. It's honestly, that's amazing. And like, I applaud everything, but it's a good mix. Like, because, even right now I'm hiring audio for a short film that I'm doing.
Don't hire me. I've been screwing up audio.
We have some great audio people.
Don't hire me. Not for audio.
But it's like there's different levels, right?
Yeah.
And hey, look, this is a cheaper short film. Maybe we don't need, the entire crew, 2-3 audio guys with full labs and full shotgun mics and everything. Like maybe we need something smaller.
Yeah.
Maybe we're recording just a Rode to an H4n, something like that. Then I know, I might have a guy for that. And it's like a cheaper rate, a cheaper rental, experience, everything, and it fits the client the best. So, I just like to have a pocket full of people that I can rely on and that, want to be in this industry. Like you have to want to do it. So when I'm hiring, I have a couple main camera assistants right now, and that's the most important role for myself because I know that I need my camera built the way that I like it.
Right. You value the camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might know how to build a camera, with your matte box and with everything, but sometimes I don't need a matte box, because we don't have the time to build it out, because my number one focus is making sure that this production goes smoothly, and I want the absolute best shots that I can. But look, if it's going to take you an extra 10 minutes to get this matte box on there, I can't do it.
Right.
And to some camera assistants, that might hurt them because they're like thinking all technical about it. But at the end of the day, there's so many things that are kind of revolving, and it all the stars have to align for a production to come out smoothly.
Interesting.
Right. So the number one thing like for myself is just like being able to work within the gear that I have available to me. Also being able to bring extra things to the table. For example, if you have a car and I don't have to pick you up prior to the shoot, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Right. If you already know how to work with a Red camera, that's great. I can still show you. I have no problem with it. But all it takes is a YouTube search.
Right.
Do
most
your
research.
Reds,
That's part of your job.
The SMC2 Plus, they all have a very similar system.
Yeah.
Right. So all it takes is this search. You can be honest with me and tell me I've never worked with a Red, but if you tell me what Red you have, I'll search it up and I'll see if I can learn about it. And then if I say, hey, would you be willing for me to swing by for 20 minutes and just show you the camera?
Right.
If you're going to charge me for it, you absolutely can. But I'm also teaching you right now.
Yeah.
I'm showing you how to use an industry standard camera, and these are the kind of things that I look for as well. Is it's like, I absolutely respect everyone's day rate, and I want everyone to be paid completely. But if you don't know something that is very key in the industry, and I'm happy to teach it to you, then let me come and let me do that and be happy about it, and kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a job. This is like a passion. This is a career. This is one of those things where, if someone's teaching you something, then you really have to take it in and you have to understand, hey, if I want to be a camera assistant, I got to know how to operate this system.
Yeah, that's gracious for you to even invest that time into someone, right?
Because I want to. I want the same circle. You know, my camera assistant that I use right now mainly has been with me everywhere. We went to New Brunswick twice. He's been to Ottawa probably 7 or 8 times. Montreal, like we've been everywhere just this year alone.
The trenches,
right? And it's gone from him. You know, when I was 19 or something, you know, him making $50 a day as a camera assistant to him making, you know, sometimes double what a standard camera assistant would make. But I don't care, because if I have him, he's going to build my cameras out and he'll dump my media for me before I even know it.
Yeah.
And it's like the simplicity of hiring him makes it that much easier on myself, who's already taking on multiple tasks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I think it's all, like you said, like the camera assistant that you work with.
Yeah.
You know, like what he does is he pretty much makes your life easier. And I think that's the key thing, like that even I look for whenever, like even if you're coming onto my set as just for mentorship, you can offer value. You don't always have to sit back. Of course, if you don't care to like work with me again, you're going to sit back and just watch and observe, right? That's great, right? But offering value, I think, is the most important thing.
That's exactly
you know, how do you make my life easier? That's that's ultimately why you get hired from anybody, like even at the top
just
level.
Showing some sort of passion as well while you're there. You know, asking questions is not a bad thing. Asking too many questions on set can be distracting,
right? Yes.
But asking a question if you don't know how to do something, I'll happily click the button for you and show you how to do it. That's no problem for me. But even then, if I can come to your place early and showcase the camera to you, you know, or you can come here, whatever, then it makes it a lot easier. And that's a one-time thing. Once you learn the camera system, then it's like, great. You know that I like my gimbal systems, I like my easy rig systems, and I like my sliders, right? Now you understand the equipment, you know how it's all placed, and now it's like, great. I just call you up. I'm like, hey, we got a gig. 2-3 days, you know, this is, it's a set rate for whatever we agree on. And it's like, boom, super easy. Payment wise, I never make people pay.
Yeah.
All right. I never make people wait.
Yeah.
You know, some clients, some companies, they say, you know, net 30, net 60, whatever. And that's, you just take that. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Right. But especially even as camera crew, like it gets annoying. Like say I do 5 different productions in like 2-week span. I'm trying to invoice all these people for like 1-day productions. And it's like, now I got to wait 30 to 60 days for all these guys. What if I'm doing that every month? You know, now you got so many people that are waiting on money. And that's like one of the most important things. Just keep things easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's very interesting, because you're talking about like making people wait. And it's clearly coming from a source of probably pain that you've experienced in the past, where you're like, I need the money, you know, like, but then you put yourself in a very uncomfortable position. You know, I see exactly what you're saying. Like I'm the same way, you know, in a lot of ways. If I can pay the people right away, I would, like, but it eventually gets to the point where you can't, right? Like sometimes you can, sometimes some productions you fronted so much money, and I'm sure you understand, like it comes out of your own pocket and you're waiting for the money. So, you know, it's difficult, but like, you know, at the end of the day, I want to talk about rates, because rates is very, very important. Like, you know, when it comes to actual respecting rates, you know, I'm the same way. You know, like the funny thing is, like when I started working with Anthony and I started putting him in my sets, like he would always ask, like, well, what do I do? I'm like, whatever you want, you know, like, because it's like, in a lot of ways, it's like he became the first person under me that I saw from under me in my business.
So how can you add value?
How can you add value? So let's see, right? Let's find out. And then I've realized that he makes my life easier in these realms and in this realm. And so he ended up being that guy. Yeah. And then, you know, that's to me invaluable. So I ask him, like a lot of times when we fight over rates, he's lowering the rate I want to give him, you know, because he feels bad that I'm paying him too much.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what do you want? And he's like, I don't know. And I'll be like, all right, this is how much do you usually make? I'm going to give you more, because you are that valuable. And I think that's a very valuable lesson to learn when you're new, that when you're looking to like want to work with somebody, bring the value, it will pay off. Yes, at first it's like you got to give him time, but like, you know, the 3 resources in life is time, energy, and money. Yeah. Right. And if you got to go in, you got to spend time and energy to make that money in the future. You got to do it. Exactly. Right. Like everybody knows how to take energy and time to make money, but not a lot of people know how to do anything else with the other way around. That's the only equation they know. Yeah. Right. But can you take time and can you take money, because it's going to cost you money to do it, you know, to gain more energy? Can you take more energy and money to gain more time? That's the real value in life, right? To understand how to distribute those resources. Yeah. So yes, you might not make money early on, but that's how you end up making money. Because now look at your first AC, right?
Yeah.
Like he's getting extra rate. That's a very valuable lesson. Why? But it took him time.
Yeah.
Same thing with Anthony. When Anthony works under me, it's the same thing. It took him time. I didn't give him that rate at the beginning. Like he came and worked in specs for free.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing for me and him. Like I was established when I started working with him already, but I came out to his shoots for like $100.
Yeah.
It'd be like, I remember him and he'd be like, really? Like why? But it's $100. But now he's respecting my rates.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's such an important thing when it comes to like mentorship. And I really, really do respect the fact that like you take what you've felt in the past and you try to rectify it by giving back to the community.
Absolutely, because it's a tight circle. Whenever I have a music video here in Toronto, I have a makeup artist that came out and helped us a lot, early in the days. And I know that their rate was much higher. But the thing is as she's grown and as I have grown, the rates have also grown. And it's like, look, I don't even want to go with anyone else because you already know, like, I don't need anything crazy. I just need makeup done on these people. This is the one I need kind of crazy. I sent you a look. I'm easygoing. If we need to change it around a little bit, then let's do that. But I just need to work within budget. And when you find people that kind of accommodate that, then it's like they deserve everything in the world. And it's the same goes with your clients as well. It's like, if I can help you by this is your first music video, you don't have the budget for me to kind of direct it and you're just producing it on your own. Look, let me help you out a little bit. Let's have some phone calls. I might not have the time to physically go and do location scouts. Send me the photos. I'll tell you what I think. Let me help you out a little bit so that we can jumpstart this, because in a couple of years down the road, there's going to be a lot more to come. And sure, some clients fall off, some clients go elsewhere, but as long as you gave it your everything, they're going to come back. Yeah. And if they don't come back, they weren't your client to start with.
That's true.
100%.
The last question, we've talked so much about how new people can grow in this industry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your advice. I know you've answered some of it through that, but like, what is your advice to younger people who want to do pretty much what you do, who want to grow in this industry?
So, I mean, the number one thing is, growing up, one thing that my parents told me was, you're going to work 9 to 5. You're gonna, I don't come from an enormous amount of wealth or whatever it is. So I know I'm going to work 9 to 5. So why not have it be something that I'm passionate at? And in this industry, this is one of those industries, like I've already touched on, with the fact that you have to experience it. You have to learn it. You have to go and you have to volunteer your time, and you have to be able to get these connections in order to kind of move forward. Right. And so one of the most important things that we've talked about already is, just do it. Right? Just go out. Even if it's -30, it's going to be a cool shoot, because not many people go out and shoot in -30, right? If it's snowing, whatever the situation is, just do it while you're young. I definitely was outside of my comfort zone all the time, doing crazy shoots, having crazy things happen, and it was like, don't over invest in your gear because things might happen at the beginning, but learn the lessons. The number one thing that I always, look back on is like, I am so glad I did that when I was younger, because there's no way that would fly now. Putting an artist in a ring of fire, just pouring gasoline on the ground and going, right? Yeah. You have water on the side and whatever, but that would not fly these days, Now that you have your reputation established and everything. And I look back and I'm like, that was crazy, but we made it out alive. And that shot is still in my demo reel, right? Even shooting on an A7S II. When it's comparing to all the red footage that I have attached to my demo reel, that shot is still in there. Right. So the number one thing is like, don't just sit back and wait for things to happen, because it doesn't happen like that in this industry. In this industry, you have to be hungry. You have to want it. You have to go and get it. And finding people to work with is good, but then also finding your own clients, growing your own clients, and learning with them, making the mistakes. Like if you just grind as hard as you can, learn all the lessons as early as you can, you're going to be fine. You can't give up.
That's amazing advice, man. Yeah.
That was great.
Passion. Right there. Passion, Andrew.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
I
appreciate you coming.
Of course.
And, anyone who's made it this far, this is a retake of part 2. I'm fucked up your first take. So, you coming out means even more. So, like, you offer so much value, man. And I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Of course. Anytime.
All right.